We bought a license, we paid for it, and we assigned it to a device or to a user, if that's a user license. But what if something happens? Well, they leave the company. Or if a device breaks. Or can I just take a license and reassign it tomorrow to a different device? The core rule that you need to understand and remember is a license may be reassigned from a device to a device or a user to a user only once in 90 days, unless there are exceptional circumstances. Say a device breaks, then you can reassign the license to a replacement device, or something happened to the user and you can reassign that license. Let's look at how it's written in Microsoft product terms because it's a bit wider. But what I'd like you to remember is the rule of 90 days. Customer may reassign a license to another device or user, but not less than 90 days since the last reassignment of the same license. So say if you assign the license on the 7th of November today to a device, you may only reassign it after 90 days, which will be about 7th of February-ish. Not before that. At any time after. The license is glued to its target for 90 days. Unless the reassignment is due to 1. Permanent hardware failure or loss, the device is broken, lost. 2. Termination of the user's employment or contract. Or 3. Temporary reallocation of CAL's client management licenses and user device subscription licenses to cover a user's absence or the unavailability of a device that is out of service. You can temporarily reassign a license to another device when your main device is being maintained or fixed, or your user may be in a hospital. There are other things that are derived from that basic 90 days rule. You have a virtual machine, say with Microsoft SQL Server, this machine, and a license is always assigned to the hardware. So you have to assign that SQL Server license or the number of core licenses, the required number of core licenses, to the host on which that machine resides. So your license will be here with this host. If this is a cluster, then probably you will use all the available functionality of, say, VMware or Hyper-V, which supports disaster recovery features, high availability features, load balancing. If you're not familiar with these terms, normally when there are multiple hosts in a modern infrastructure, virtual machines may travel between the hosts for various reasons. Say the current host is occupied with other VMs right now, and there's just no memory, no processor resource for this particular SQL Server VM that we're talking about, the first one. The clever technology behind the cluster decides to move this virtual machine to a different host. Here. Now, it's not here anymore. It's now on the second host. So our SQL Server has moved. What happens to the license? The license must stay on the other host. And then you have two options here. You either have to assign a different license to the second host, and what Microsoft would expect you to do, you would be expected to have every host pre-licensed. You would be expected to have licenses already pre-assigned to the host because, well, the machine can move at any time. It is controlled by the artificial intelligence behind the cluster. So you would be expected to have licenses assigned everywhere. If you only have one SQL Server machine, that is very expensive. Why would you pay 4 times for that license? There's a right which is called license mobility in server farms, which allows you to move a license across the farm at any time you want, anywhere, from a host to a host, license may move. That right, license mobility in server farms, overrides the 90 days reassignment rule. You're no more limited just by that 90 days. But still, please remember that the license is always assigned to hardware. It's not that you assign a license to a virtual machine, you still assign it to the host, but it may then travel with that virtual machine. If a machine moves to another host, a license moves with it. How do you acquire that right? It used to be given between 2007 and 2010-ish to certain editions and versions of software just as a part of the license. And nowadays, if you want to be virtualized in a very dynamic, hyper-converged, whatever you call it, environment, if you want to license your Microsoft software properly for that environment, with the exception of the operating system, you have to cover it with software assurance.